great feedback from the AOPA members, pilots who are extremely enthused about the GA Pilot Protection Act. We have more than 300 comments in just about 24 hours since we posted this story, so that's great news. Are you surprised by that?
Well, pleasantly surprised. It's good to have that feedback, but pilots, as you know, Tom, are known to have common sense. It's a prerequisite, right? And this is a common sense bill. This is about rolling back the red tape and reducing the costs to our flying, and that's why I suppose we've gotten so many good comments. It's certainly not a perfect bill. We'd like it to go farther, and maybe if we get this bill passed, we could lock in the gains with that and stand on the shoulders of those gains and even use it as a springboard to build off some more reforms in this area and other places.
Right. So how did the bill come about?
Well, first of all, let me say it's a team effort everywhere. Everyone from Sam Graves, who's chairman of our GA caucus, who has worked on this issue, to new pilots who are congresspersons like Bill Johnson, to wartime aviators like Adam Kinzinger, Steve Pierce, who's been a long-time pilot, Lamar Smith. Let me just read them all off the originals. Bill Flores and Richard Hanna, Mike Pompeo, who comes from the area of the country where general aviation planes are built, to our good friend on the other side of the aisle, Colin Peterson. You know, this was a team effort, and ultimately, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that just about everyone I just read, Tom, reads AOPA magazine.
And we appreciate that.
And we know AOPA has been working on this for quite some time. So we're good. It's good just to have the organization together. It's good to push this bill forward. And again, we're looking for more sponsorships in the House of Representatives, and then getting it passed and then over to the Senate.
Right. So you said it's not a perfect bill, and of course it's not. None of them are. There's always compromise. How is it that you decided some of the parameters that ended up in the bill, like the 6,000 pound max takeoff weight, VFR flight only, no more than 14,000 feet in cruise altitude, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, you know, I can't say there was any magic formula to all of it, except that we were in close contact with the staff at the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. And with others, and also those of us who wrote this bill, who have been in the working on it in the background, quite frankly, for longer than I have. Talking with them and pulling out their old notes and seeing what inflamed, either whether it be the FAA or other stakeholders. And trying to solve those problems, quote unquote problems, ahead of time, so that we don't have people, simply dismissing the bill because they don't like a particular provision in it. So some of those numbers, some of those provisions, maybe like VFR only flight at this time, you know, was a result of foreseeing some issues that some stakeholders had and heading those off before the bill was even filed. But again, it's a matter of showing that really pilots shouldn't be treated differently than licensed drivers in a lot of respects, knowing that SUVs are heavier and carry more passengers than a lot of our planes do. And once we get that established and show that really this was a common sense provision and belongs in the law, then building off that. So it's not over, but let's take this first step and get it done. Okay. And then work on others.
Great. Well, it does sound like a great first step. So give us a civics lesson. What is the next step for the process now that the bill has been introduced?
Well, I expect to work with the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association and other groups like the EAA and other stakeholders to build what we call co-sponsorships for this bill. I just listed the great leaders who came together to help write this bill, but I like to see that list grow to well over 100 because that shows our leadership and the rest of Congress that this particular bill would have a lot of support and despite what you hear in the popular press, we are a group of people that like to find common ground and get some things done. So a long and healthy sponsorship list of members of Congress would be very helpful going into next year. And when I say members of Congress, I specifically mean Republican and Democratic House of Representative members. And once we get that, get it past the House of Representatives, get it over to the Senate, do that same process again, and hopefully get a bill signed into law before Congress adjourns at the end of 2014.
Great. So you talk about enthusiastic support. Many of the comments from our members are asking that. How can they help? What can general aviation pilots do and when to help build the level of sponsorship that you need for this bill?
Well, I think you're going to see some action alerts come out from AOPA, and I hope the pilots watching this and members of AOPA continue to follow those action alerts, not on just on this bill, but on any bill that comes up. And that action alert should tell you to call your member of Congress and would hopefully list the contact information. Right. Do that, because we do listen to that. And if we don't take your call personally, we certainly, I'm an office that gets the number of calls received each day or the number of emails received each day and what they were about. That does have an effect. It has a good effect. We can't be responsive. We can't do our jobs as United States representatives if we don't hear from our constituents. And general aviation is a huge constituency. And this bill will help GA realize its full economic potential that regulations and others have conspired to keep from happening. So we are, and I think my fellow members of Congress are eager to hear from you. Make sure that they do.
Great. So once the timing is right, we definitely will be telling our members who it is they should contact and how to do that. In the last 24 hours or so since the bill has gone up, what sort of feedback and reaction have you received from maybe the FAA, DOT, others in Congress?
Other members of Congress, the response has been very positive. And again, we have a lot going on this particular week in Congress with a budget deal and other things. So even with all that going on, we are still punching through, and it's gotten members' interest, and Transportation Committee especially. So all that is good. I have not heard from either the DOT or the FAA yet, but that's not unusual or unexpected. And I want to say that they're good people on an individual basis who work in these agencies, and they want nothing but the best for America. I really believe that. We have to make sure that our comments and our representations are one of encouragement for them as well. I mean, not discouragement. It's hard in a political environment to say yes. It's much easier if you're, frankly, a bureaucrat. It's much easier to say no. We don't want them to say no. We want them to see the value that general aviation brings, and see that just because this is the way it's always been done doesn't mean it's the right way anymore.
Right,
and that there's nothing to be afraid of, or there's nothing unsafe about treating a general aviation pilot flying himself or his family any different than going down the highway, really, in an SUV or other vehicle. So, let's be positive. Let's be encouraging. Let's do those things that general aviation is so well known for, and that is common sense, frugality for sure, but also a value add everywhere we go, and we are that.
So let's talk about your aviation background a little bit. How long have you been a pilot, and how did you get into aviation?
So I've been a pilot since I was probably about 18 or 19 or 20, since certainly 1990. And I've been an AOPA member ever since then, really. It was one of the first magazine subscriptions I ever got, and my father bought me my first membership, and then I was on my own from there. And except for maybe a lapse for a year or two when I couldn't afford it because I was in law school, I have always been a member of this great organization, and just really love it. I think this organization brings tremendous value to the general aviation community and economy. And we're at a crossroads, as we always seem to be in general aviation, and we need more pilots. That's going to drive it, and we certainly are at the forefront of doing that, and hopefully this bill, along with a lot of other work that's been done and that we have to do, is going to help us ultimately gain a healthy pilot population in a place in this world where personal flight is certainly most conducive. So looking forward to continuing to be a part of the solution.
Great. Well, Congressman Rokita, we certainly appreciate the support for AOPA from you, and also all of us who are general aviation pilots appreciate this legislation and the common sense approach that you're taking to this. We look forward to helping drum up co-sponsors for it, and we'll look for a positive resolution soon.
Great time. Great to be with you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Congressman. Appreciate you taking the time.